Welcome to the Florida Trail Runners Project. Out in the woods, out in the swamps, down by the Willie Gucci. It started with a podcast, now it's a thing. The Florida Trail Runners.
All right, here we are with episode 116 of the Florida Trail Runners Podcast. And on this episode, we are talking about the World Cross Country Championships in Tallahassee, Florida. You know, within the sport of running and trail running, cross country is probably one of my favorite events. You know, I ran in high school, I ran in college, a little bit after, and obviously now with trail running. So it was pretty cool that Florida was able to host the World Cross Country Championships. And I guess for those who aren't familiar with cross country, at the national and world championship level, the championships will usually be the 10K distance. And for the World Cross Country Championships, the first championship event was held in 1973, so 56 years ago. And for the United States, we have hosted the World Championships 2 times before this year. The first was in 1984 in East Rutherford and in 1992 in Boston. And throughout that history, we have seen many American greats perform well, you know, like the amazing kick of Craig Virgin. That's a video on YouTube that's definitely worth watching. He was a 2-time champion. Alberto Salazar, he had a 2nd place finish. Bill Rogers had a 3rd place, a bronze finish. Shalane Flanagan had a bronze finish. Lynn Jennings, you know, she's an American running legend. She had 3 golds and 1 silver over the history of the World Cross Country Championships. There's a few others, but those might be some names that you might be more familiar with. However, on this episode, we are chatting with Toby Gualter, who represented New Zealand at the 2026 World Cross Country Championships, which, by the way, New Zealand also hosted the World Cross Country Champs in 1988. But for this year, Toby was able to crack the top 50, placing 47th overall with a time of 30:54. Cracking that top 50 at the World Champs, you know, that's no joke. So in the chat, we talked the course, the chaos, the level of competition, you know, the training to get there, and how it all went down. So hey, let's just jump right into it.
Out in the woods, out in the swamps, down by the Willie Gucci. It started with a podcast, now it's a thing. The Florida Trail Run. I see the skunk case chasing me down. I'm doing the long haul, running all over town. Aid station to aid station, I see the skunk case chasing me down. I'm doing the long haul, running all over town.
The World Athletics Cross Country Championship is returning to U.S. soil for the first time in over 3 decades.
The eyes of the running world focused on Tallahassee this weekend.
Now in 2020, Tallahassee was approached by USA Track and Field to
Tallahassee
consider
hosting the World Athletics Cross Country Championships this
The
weekend.
world's best cross-country runners are heading to Leon County.
Some of the world's best cross-country athletes are descending on Tallahassee this week ahead of this weekend's World
As
Championships.
Tallahassee hosts the 2026 World Athletics Cross Country Championship.
Florida is all in this
The
course.
championships are bringing nearly 500 athletes from more than 50 countries.
More than 500 athletes representing over 60
Over
countries.
500 runners from around 60 countries will experience on Saturday. Hosting the World Cross Country Championships,
Leon County will be the center of the global running world.
all eyes will be on Tallahassee.
I mean, we truly are the capital of cross country because we have worked 15 years to develop the course, develop the product. It's a course that's designed by runners for
How they
runners.
designed this with a distinct Florida flavor.
With
Allison.
sand and water to represent our beaches and lakes, mud for the Everglades, and of course, a classic Florida staple, gators.
Here we go.
Hey, Joseph, how's it going?
Good, good.
We got on here finally. Yeah. How you doing, man?
Good.
Oh, great. Thanks so much for having me on. It'd be good to chat.
Oh yeah, I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I mean, I love talking running and answering questions, also asking questions. So, I mean, it's all a lot of fun. And obviously, World Cross was a great experience for me. You're based in Florida, right?
Yeah, I'm in Florida. About 3 or so hours from Tallahassee.
Oh, what's the name of the place you're from?
Dade City, near Tampa.
Oh, yeah, Tampa. Cool. I've been to Florida about 3 or 4 times, just for various races when I was over in the US. But yeah, obviously recently in Tallahassee.
Yeah, I went to St. Leo.
I know
We
St. Leo.
Yeah, we hosted D2 Nats.
That's right. Yeah, your 10K was better than your 5.
Yes.
Which makes sense, but you can still break 2 minutes for 800 just off strength. But the 5K, man, I mean, it's such a hard distance. I mean, it's also a very hard one to navigate. You have to have some sort of strength, but also have to have an element of good, like pretty good speed. It's quite a hard one to navigate.
Growing up, we had a cross country meet. You pretty much went this like figure 8 around a cornfield or a bean field, depending on the year. If it's a cornfield year, you're going to run fast because the corn blocks all of the wind. But if it's a bean year, you're not going to run fast because that wind just sucks the life out of you.
Oh, okay, wow. Yeah.
And like you could tell which year's which year because the leaders are at least 30 seconds difference between the 2 years.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, I love the trails as well. Like I do lots of road and track running, but I pretty much run one trail race a year in New Zealand, and we have a national mountain running championship. And I always love doing that. And I've done it at the world mountain running as well. So I've done it at an international level as well as a national level. It's great. I feel like you definitely feel like you're going somewhere, and it's pretty enjoyable and pretty scenic. And there's like, you're not really looking at splits or time. It's more just like getting through it.
Yeah, that's where after college, I did the USA 30K Trail Champs, and I got to recon the course with Joe Gray.
Yeah, nice. Oh, right. Yeah, Joe Gray. Yeah, I know that guy. Joe Gray, Jim Walmsley.
And then Andy Wacker's the other mountain guy.
Yeah. Oh, of course, mountain. Yeah. I'd eventually love to do the 100 mile of Western States, but I know it's very, very hard to get into.
Golden ticket, if you have the hundreds that qualify, the lottery.
Yeah. And is it selective based on like how you've done it in the past, or is it just a gamble?
The main lottery is just pure, the numbers are in a tumbler and they pull out the number. And then if that's your number, then you're in. But for the most part, for most normal people, it's the main lottery.
Oh, okay. Wow.
I mean, it looks like you're already breaking back into racing. I mean, you got the Capital Classic 3K coming up?
Yeah, so I've got 3K on Sunday. So this will be my first race back after World Cross. I came back from World Cross Country and it was hit quite bad with the jet lag. I think I went over on Tuesday. Race was obviously Saturday, and then came back Sunday. And I was like, oh yeah, okay, I'll just go like for the week and stuff. But coming back, I was pretty jet lagged. I picked up some hay fever. Just didn't feel that well coming back, and finally had a week of just like single runs. Normally my training is like pretty intense, double days every day, and 100 and 120 miles a week. But obviously after I came back from America, I wasn't doing that, so I just had like an easy week, and then got back into it the week after, and back to like doubles. Went up to like 110 miles, and then everything was like pretty tight, I think, in my body. I think I just maybe overexerted a little too early, or things were just still tightening up from the travel back. But yeah, and then I was supposed to run actually a mile this past weekend in a place called Wanganui, New Zealand. And we decided that I wasn't going to do that, but it would have been probably the best chance this year to break 4 minutes. My best being 4:04 mile, but that was 3 years ago in college. So wanted to do that one, but it just didn't quite work out. And my coach said, yeah, just give it another week and a bit of more mileage and more sessions. And yeah, I got this race on Saturday, so I'm looking forward to it. It'll just be a good hit out to see what I can run over 3K at the moment.
Yeah, and I guess before we jump into the 2026 World Cross Country Championships, I know you've been competing at this like world level for already a long time now. I guess if we could break into some of your background, like I know before running in the States, you were already doing the U20 World Mountain, U20 Cross Country Champs. How did you even get into the sport? Like what's that early background?
Well, I played football for a very long time, so soccer. I won't say football because I know it's a lot different meaning in New Zealand than it is in America, and I'm definitely not built like a football player. So yeah, I played soccer for a very long time. As a kid I was playing rugby as well, like all New Zealanders, and yeah, I was always into my sport, always like very active, always ran like school cross country, which was part of like our physical education curriculum here. So you always had to do it, and I was always reasonably competitive and enjoyed winning like school cross country and that. And then I'd say like my second to last year of high school, I played football the night before, and then I came to school and my coach was like, oh, and the PE teacher said, do you want to come and run our regional road race? And, all we pretty much have to do here is sign up for it. And if you win the school cross country, then you would go to like a regional race, and found myself doing like quite well at it. And, I was scouted by 2 coaches, through like the club system in New Zealand. And then, I was pretty hesitant to start running because all my friends were playing soccer and I was really into that, and all I wanted to be was a professional soccer player. And anyway, my dad convinced me. He's like, give it a go and see what happens. You can play football as well. And I think instantly I connected with running, just because I really enjoyed the competition side of it, and also just like I could measure myself and, based off time and, if I was covering the distance further, and I enjoyed competing against people. So I think I had the drive like pretty early on, and I had the thought of, I could probably be a pretty good runner if I stuck with it. And yeah, then my last year of high school, I had pretty much almost made a full transition to running. I quit playing soccer and moved to a really good coach and where I'm from in Wellington, and he got me on a really hard like training system, higher mileage. I was probably already running 70 to 80 miles a week in my last year of high school. Already found that I was getting like decently pretty good and able to compete at a national level in New Zealand. But 2019 was the year when I had finished high school, and as a junior, so under 20, won 4 New Zealand titles, went to a world mountain running champs, world cross country champs that year. So 2019 was very busy. And I go back to, world mountain running, and it's often a result I forget about, or it's one that's lost, because I actually got 7th in the world as an under 20 at world mountain running. So, maybe one day in the future that my success will lie more on the trails, but who knows? And then I pretty much had that really, really good year. Had a lot of interest from, American coaches, and didn't really know if I wanted to go to the States on a running scholarship, because I had this really good coach in New Zealand, and I was doing really, really well and things were comfortable. But I realized pretty soon that all I was doing was, I was going to university here in New Zealand and just, traveling a lot for running. So I thought that, I wanted a little bit more. And that's when I was approached by a coach at Eastern Michigan. So we talked about before that, I found myself in Michigan for about 2.5 years. Was always around Ohio and racing in Ohio and stuff. So loved being around there. And, he gave me a really good scholarship. And, I really liked talking to the guys on the team. A lot of them were internationals. So, and including another New Zealander who was there. So I thought, okay, this is me. It's probably the best offer I have. And the coach believed in me. So I signed in November 2019, and then I was there in January 2020. So a very quick turnaround, and I arrived in Michigan, and it was snowing and cold and completely different to New Zealand.
Yeah, because I know at Eastern Michigan, that was Coach Goodridge, and he's more of like an old school kind of style of a guy. And then I think you had Coach Rinker as well.
Yeah. I was recruited by John Goodridge. I had him for pretty much so I started in indoor because I was over in January. I had him pretty much the whole indoor season. And then obviously COVID happened in March, so school had shut down. I did really like Coach Goodridge's style of training. It was very hard nosed, very old school. I remember we had about 2 weeks, or it might have been a week, of we worked out every single day, as in we did sessions every single day, and a time trial over 800 meters on a Saturday. And I think a lot of the guys on the team went from running like, the lower guys on the team running from 60 miles a week to about 100 miles that week. So we had pretty much our whole team running, 100 miles or more a week. It was actually quite funny. I think he just wanted a bit of a experiment to get us really strong for cross country. But I didn't really get to experience too much with Coach Goodridge, because March happened and then everyone kind of disbanded and went back home because of COVID, and I came back to New Zealand for pretty much the whole summer and returned in August. So August, I would say, was probably my proper freshman year, and Coach Goodridge had left Eastern Michigan in that August. So Rink came in January. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think in 2023, that's when you transferred over to NC State. And I know that now that Coach Geiger, he's been coaching since the 80s.
Oh yeah, I mean, Coach Geiger, he reminded me a lot of Coach Goodridge actually. I mean, he'd been at NC State for 48 years, and it's amazing the amount of knowledge and how smart Coach Geiger is. I think he's pretty much seen everything in the book, and I heard lots of stuff about him before I had moved to NC State, and I'd actually talked to Coach Goodridge about him, so I had a bit of information. But yeah, I mean, like I learned a lot from Goodridge, and then Rinker, I probably improved a lot under, in terms of, I think Rink was a really, really good coach at every year helping me improve on my track times. And also I ran really, really well in cross country under him. So I would say the system that had worked the best for me in college was probably Rink. And also the relationship I had with Rink as well was quite special, and I always kind of believed in what he was doing. There were some times that we thought he could be a little bit too aggressive with training, but for me that was what I wanted. I got a lot of confidence from that, and he really taught me just also the mental side of running. And I think I went from running I went to college running 14:40 on the track for 5K, and then under Rink I ran 13:53 2 years later. So I dropped quite a lot of time and ran 29 flat for 10K, 7:58 for 3K. And those were pretty much my PBs in college. And when I went to Coach Geiger at NC State, I ran sub 29 minutes 14K, which was good. I mean, it was just under, and I thought that, I probably could have been a bit quicker. It wasn't a big improvement, and I didn't really improve a lot on my PBs but at NC State, but I ran really good in cross country. I finished 51st at Nuttycombe one year, and I think I was 100th at NCAA in cross country at Virginia in 2023. And we're also a pretty decent cross country team when we could put it together. So I think each system and each coach I learned a lot from. But yeah, I mean, I had two of probably the oldest coaches in the NCAA, so lots of wisdom there.
Yeah, because as you were wrapping up your NCAA career, did you know what kind of direction you wanted to go next? Because I know for me, after running in college, I wasn't sure if I wanted to do the road thing, stick to cross country and trail running. When that time came to make that transition, I guess, where did you feel like you were at with your level of training?
I think similar to you, mate. I was kind of unsure. I think I always knew very early on when I got to college that I wanted running to be my priority even after. I remember sitting in meetings with Rink and telling him that after college I want to be a professional runner. And I told the same thing to Coach Geiger. And they pretty much told me the same thing. You just have to work hard, and you have to form those connections with, pro coaches and people, in the running world. And I think that's what I tried to do. But yeah, I think the time came quicker than I thought. And I think if I could go back to college, I would probably be a bit more present in my trajectory, and just focus more on what I'm doing in it now rather than waiting for I want to see what I want to do as a pro. But yeah, finished college and at NC State, and I was like, okay, I feel like, I was dating a girl at the time, and she was going out to Colorado State to do veterinary school, but we ended up breaking up, and I stayed in obviously it was in North Carolina, so I was like, okay, what do I do next? It's I was thinking, do I go to Colorado and be there and find a group there and train at altitude, which I loved. Spent many times in Flagstaff and Colorado and all that. And then I finished, and I was like, okay, looks like I'm probably just going to have to go back home, and then I can see what happens from there. So I pretty much graduated college December, and then flew home, got into Auckland, New Zealand, and 2 days before I was supposed to run a 5K, which is our top 5K in New Zealand each year, which is the Night of Fives. And I ran that, and I ran a 2-second PB, pretty much straight off the plane from 30 hours of travel. And I was like, okay, this is pretty good. And I was back training under my New Zealand coach then, and I knew that probably from then on that I wanted to stay in New Zealand, because I hadn't really been training under my new coach for very long, but I'd already seen a lot of progress. Okay, I'll stay in New Zealand and see what happens. Go back with my New Zealand coach, And yeah, pretty much 2025 hit and ran all the New Zealand championship races, went to World University Games, qualified for, various championships, and ended up getting a bit of like recognition from some sponsors here in New Zealand. Brooks Running, who I'm currently running for, I was able to get, a pretty decent like running contract, not to the point where I had to stop working, but like, product and some money for performance bonuses and that. And, that was probably kind of my first sense of like being a pro. And I thought that, okay, maybe I can stay here in New Zealand with my coach and then go over and travel to these races around the world. And that's currently what I'm doing now. But yeah, I mean, I think after college, I didn't really have much of an idea. I just kind of played it by ear, really.
Yeah, because I was going to say, post-college, I mean, your spread for your 2025 calendar year, I mean, you took on the New Zealand Mountain Running Championship, winning. You went 103, 104 and a half marathon, the National Road 10K, and then to the National Cross Country Championships. Like, how do you figure out your schedule or the seasons of the year?
It's really interesting because I feel like New Zealand calendar is so spread out. Like, you're doing track from like December all the way through to March, and then March through till kind of like, like August-ish, you're doing like cross country and road. So cross country and road here are like kind of intertwined. So really like pretty much I always keep up my strength throughout the whole year. And I'm probably already like most of the year, always around 90%, that 85 to 90% fit pretty much throughout the whole year. So when I go to run these races, whether it be a 5K, a half marathon, I can kind of like alter my training a little bit more, maybe just do more specific stuff related to the pace I'm trying to run at. But really, my coach and I, we always sit down. I actually just had my sit down with him a couple of weeks ago, just kind of like mapping out our whole year of what we want to do, what we want to achieve. And we have like these minor goals to like the major goals. We kind of like separate them, and then, all these races lead up to getting me to these bigger goals. But yeah, I think 2025, I focused a lot on the half marathon. I ran quite a few. My PB ended up being 63:20, where I was third at Nike Melbourne half marathon. But yeah, ran so many races between that 63, 64 minute range, and then was always able to run a decent 5K throughout the year. Ran a decent 10K road, but yeah, for some reason I struggled with the 10K last year. I was always like, I always had the strength, but I thought based on the sessions I would run a little bit quicker. But I think that's something we'll focus on this year in 2026.
I guess with the realm of cross country, but I know you're back with your New Zealand coach. But I guess if you can kind of like peel back the curtain and talk about, kind of what training looks like. I know training isn't always like going into the well every time, but I guess kind of going into that training methodology that you're kind of under, like what does that look like? Like, is there a heart rate specific thing? Is there thresholds or stamina runs?
Have you ever heard of Arthur Lydiard?
Yeah. And I guess, for those who have never heard of him, Arthur Lydiard was a legendary New Zealand distance running coach, probably one of the most influential figures in modern endurance training. If you've heard phrases like base building, long slow distance, or periodized training, you can basically trace all of those back to him. So it's really just building a massive aerobic engine first, then sharpening it. His system was high volume, aerobic first, and the periodization was carefully phased, which I guess nowadays you can see that everywhere. Base phases, periodization, that marathon style aerobic development, really for all distances, no matter kind of where you're going from, even for like modern trail and ultra training.
Yeah. So my training is very much based around the Lydiard system, and Arthur was a New Zealander, and I think a lot of principles the world follows is from him. And my coach actually was coached by him back in the day, in the 80s, 90s. So yeah, my training is actually pretty simple, but probably a lot different to what the standard is. Like, as I mentioned before, like I was in the US for many years, so like I was so used to doing the Tuesday, Friday type setup with the Saturday long run. A bunch of different systems I've been on and tried different things. But my training is very, very simple, which I think is what makes me the runner I am, because if I just keep things simple, I tend to run better. Running is quite simple, you just got to put all the right ingredients in the cake, and then you also don't want to put it you also don't want to put too much of an edge on it. So it's like, all the right ingredients make up the runner. And yeah, my training is pretty much, I do 6 sessions a week, so 6 workouts. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Mornings typically aerobic reps, all centered around that half marathon type pace to 10K pace. So like this morning, it's a Friday today. Since I have a race on Sunday, it's a little bit different, but I did 4 by 5 minutes at 10K pace. So I tried to aim for about 4:35 to 4:32 pace per mile, just off like 1 minute rest. And then tonight I'll probably do like some sort of like easy tempo. But generally if I start on a Monday, it would be aerobic reps, normally around that half marathon pace, 4 times 8 minutes, 4 times 10 minutes. Evening would be, we go to the grass and I do like 10 times 1200. Tuesday is like a split run. So like, we go off minutes, 80 minutes in the morning, 45 minutes in the evening. 80 minutes in the morning is generally easy to steady. So I'm generally running in the 5:15 range, 5:30 range by the end of my 80-minute run. 45-minute run is generally pretty easy. Yeah, around that 7-minute mile to 6:30 miles. And then Wednesday is same as Monday, but maybe a little bit faster in the morning. And the evening is generally a 5K VO2 max session. And then Thursday is the same as Tuesday. And then Fridays are generally aerobic long reps in the afternoon and morning aerobic reps. And then Saturday, I take off completely. I don't do anything on Saturday. And then that makes me feel good. I've restored my glycogen levels for Sunday. So I can go out on a Sunday morning, do a really good 20-mile long run. And then occasionally we might do another run in the afternoon, or I might do some sort of like hill repetitions. So, that's what can get me to, I do 6 days a week, but running 120 miles a week with a day off, and my week starts on a Sunday. So it's a little bit different to probably what most people are used to, but it seems to work for me.
Yeah, and I think because I saw on Strava, it was, I guess 2 days ago for you, but yesterday for me, just because we have that huge time difference. But like you were doing 12 by 400 meters at 62 to 65.
Yeah. So that's a classic 5K VO2 session. I probably got down to more 3K pace on that. Pretty much each session of the week, I'm covering each system. So I'm covering, or in each pace really, I'm covering my VO2 max to my aerobic threshold, to my 10K pace. So I know that in pretty much most races I go to run, that I'm able to run that sort of pace. And, just gearing up for, a 3K or a 5K, I might do something like 300s or 400s just a bit faster, just to get my legs accustomed to running that fast. So yeah, covering each system is quite important for me. I don't really use heart rate too much. I know because there's so many variations that go into heart rate, obviously like weather and how tired you are, and there's so many variables, but I'll generally say like it would probably be in the 170-ish range. If I go back and look on my Coros app, it actually says here the highest my heart rate got up to was 170. Oh no, here we go, 179. So, and that was on my 62 last rep. I'd say, yeah, I was certainly in the VO2 max range, and it was also very hot. It was probably the hottest day we've had all week, was that Wednesday afternoon, and I got incredibly sunburnt. So, yeah, I would say my heart rate would be 52 maybe if I'm walking down the street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess kind of within that realm of cross country with your 2025 year, like where was your mindset and confidence heading into the New Zealand cross country champs? Did you kind of know where you were going to be in the field, or like obviously the goal was to qualify for the national team, but how did that go down?
Yeah, we have our qualification in August, so there's quite a lot of time, which was really cool. And I was second at national cross country last year, and I was also second the year before. I came back from the States, and I generally run national cross country because it worked with the timings. I was second to the same guy each year, to Connor, and he's a good cross country runner, but I just couldn't work it out. And I also had just come back from World University Games in Germany, so I had pretty much Europe to New Zealand is quite a big trip. So I got off the plane, and then similar to what I mentioned before about the 2 days before I ran my 5K PB in Auckland, and got to national cross country, and I was in like a kind of like it'll be what it'll be mindset, because I wasn't feeling great. My time zones are all mucked up, but I still ran national cross, felt good. was second, and then qualified, and also ran 28:51 on the road. So we also have to qualify with through a decent 10K standard, and that was I think 29 something. So knew I'd had the 10K, knew I'd had the cross country. So all I knew that I was going to qualify for the national team, so I could just focus on something else. And then time went by. I pretty much did quite a few races before national cross country, and then before world cross country.
Take me more into that mindset this year coming into the 2026 World Cross Country Championships. You've been there before with the U20. You've been there before with the U20. You've raced in Florida before, so you do have you do know how it is down here. I mean, and you went to NC State. Yeah, what's that mindset, or what's the game plan going into the World Championship race?
Yeah, I think my mindset going into World Cross, I think I wasn't really overly excited, or I wasn't like nervous leading into it at all. I mean, you're a runner yourself, and you know exactly what nerves feels like, and also the excitement of leading into a race, especially, something that you've been training for. But for me, it just felt like another day. And I think another huge confidence booster was I run at Tallahassee twice before. So it was familiar, and I was kind of comfortable in that setting. And obviously I got to the course and it all changed. So, because there was all these different obstacles and jumps and sand and all that. But I was walking the course a couple of days before with Hannah Gapes, who runs at NC State with me, and she actually finished 19th in the world. And we were both just talking to each other and just being like, oh yeah, this is going to be hard, but I think we're both feeling like quietly confident that we could put on a good show and a good effort. And yeah, I mean, I didn't really think too much the whole week. I knew that it would be what it would be. My coach actually told me before I left, he was like, I think top 100 would be a great result. And I was like, yeah, it would be good, but I want to aim for top. I think a top 80 would be great on like a B day, but a top 50 on an A++, everything going well, would be great. And then I think I just got on the line. I didn't really think too much about it. My heart rate was obviously up because I knew that I was going to be in a lot of pain for probably half an hour. I got out really, really well. Probably the best I've ever got out in a cross country race. Not too eager, but also saving quite a bit of energy, because that's what you need to do in cross country. And I was also used to the fast start because, obviously running in the NCAA for many years, like I just knew that every race is going to go out hard. So I think I was also confident in that aspect, was that compared to a lot of other guys in the race, I had that experience of being in the college system and those hard cross country races. So I knew that I would be able to put myself in a good spot and, either move through the field like I normally do, or go just run hard and then die, whoever can die the least in those cross country races. And then, so got out really, really well and moved through the whole race. And I think I was in like 70s to start off with. Just kept passing people. I found myself with a bunch of like South African guys and tried to find the other Australians. And pretty much my mindset was in the race was to just find my group and then move forward, find my group, then move forward. And then I finally found some of the Australian guys, and I was like, okay, this is cool. Like, top Oceania was in my head. And coming down the finish line, I had no idea where I was. I could have been the 60s, it could have been the 80s. I had no idea, but I knew that I was in probably a pretty good spot because I was next to Ahmed Mohammed, the American guy, 27 flat guy, and another guy called Seth O'Donnell, who was a finalist at the World Champs in the 5K, and came across the line. Had no idea. It was a massive kick down, and then I turned around and I saw my other New Zealand guy come in, Mac Rowe, and he was the second New Zealander in from me. And I saw a number next to his name that said 58th. And I was like, I was standing there in the line, and around me was Parker Wolf and all those guys that, I'd seen do really well in NCAA. And I was like, man, I must have finished in the 30s or 40s at least. And I asked this official because he was on his phone, and I said, what place did I come? And he told me that I got told like 4 different numbers before I finally got to the real conclusion. Someone told me I was 38. Someone told me I was 42nd. And then I finally found that I was 47th. And then it just hit me, and I was just like, wow, like I really just got top 50. And I mean, I think we all have that thing of like, and at NCAA cross country, if you're top 40, you're an NCAA All-American. It did feel like that day that I was an all-world cross country.
Yeah, because I mean that's like the thing with cross country, especially like world cross, because there's that mix of guys there's so many different disciplines between different distances, different national champions, different Olympians. There's such a wide variety of people.
Oh, definitely. I mean, just in that race, I look back and there's top milers, world-class milers. Obviously, to the road as well. We look at the half marathon, the marathon, guys who are medaled in steeplechases. 800-meter runners. There was all pretty much everything in there. And it's so cool to see where you pin yourself in cross country, because I feel like cross country is an equalizer. Like all those disciplines come together, and there's jumping involved, there's sand running, there's alligator jumps, there's a man-made roller coaster. So there's no hiding in cross country. It doesn't matter if you've ran 1:47 in the 800 or if you've run 26 minutes for 10K. I was around guys like Mohamed. He didn't have the greatest day, but it's like imagine me being on a track, a 13:40 guy, and him being on a track with me who's a 12:40 something guy, but together in cross country where we're right next to each other.
Yeah, and I guess, at World Cross, Florida decided to go like hard in the paint with just random obstacles, because obviously you were able to kind of check them out before, though.
Yeah, like walking the course, and I jogged the course the day before. For me, I have a thing of like, I like to jog the course and walk the course, but I generally like to stay off the course as much as I can leading into a race like that. I don't even really enjoy going to the track too much before a track race. I just like to get there on the day and it be feeling like new and exciting. But I think in cross country, from what I've learned through being in the NCAA and talking to some top guys as well, like it's really important to check out the course, because you obviously don't want there to be any surprises on race day. But what a better, I don't think there could have been a better place than to have it in Florida, because Americans, from what I know, really love their sport. They really get behind everyone. You don't even have to win. It's like they still get behind you. And I was just walking back after the race, I was 47th in the race. It's like that I was signing, people's bags and shoes and taking photos with people. It's like you feel like you won the race. But I think for me, running is one thing, but it's also about inspiring people to do the same and inspiring people to get out there, give it a go. Because you never know, I never thought that in high school that I would be in the top of the world at world cross country, or I went on this whole American journey. But Florida certainly put on a great show, and it was just boiling hot on the day as well. So there was a few deaths out there on the course, but that's just what it is. Everyone has to deal with the same conditions, no matter what. And Florida certainly put on a great atmosphere for everyone, I reckon.
Yeah, and I guess with that, obviously now you've had some time to kind of either reflect on the race or even watch it back. But between the alligator logs, the mud, the sand, the water, that ramped hill, which one of the obstacles did you find maybe not the most annoying, but I guess the most annoying, so to say?
What's funny is that I've looked at a lot of interviews from guys who were finished, in the top 20 and the top 10, guys who were just in front of me who I chatted to, and everyone said the sand. And I couldn't agree more. The sand was certainly the most jarring and certainly the toughest part of the course. And that was in the first 1K. So you went over the roller coaster, you went around the corner, and there was the sand. And I remember 2 days before walking the course, and this is why it's so important to walk the course and understand the course, was actually the sand pit felt shorter the day before than it did running it, and then it just felt like it kept getting further and further when you went round each lap. But yeah, you see some people just glided across it, but I think everyone I've talked to, the sand was certainly the toughest, and I found that the toughest as well. And then you had that little bit of a break before the alligator crossings. The water, I think, was the easiest. I glided through the water, and I think to be fair, I was in a pretty fortunate position where I positioned myself really, really well to the point where I didn't really have to go through the water. I could go towards the edge of the water. So I really had no problems there. Alligator jumps, they were tough. I think the first loop around, I stood on them, and then I think I just steepled the rest. And they were hard because you just felt like a little bit lactic after it, but then the lactate cleared and you went back up the hill, then you restarted the next lap. And the mud going down into the finish, that was tough also, but again, like I felt like I positioned myself pretty well there.
Yeah, with the sand, I mean, you gotta have quick feet.
Yeah, you gotta have quick feet in the quick sand. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was not easy. But I thought, based on what everyone said about the sand, that part was tough. But I think also, going back to before World Cross Country, my mindset was, I had a really good year in 2025, but I attempted the New Zealand record over 20K 1 hour, which is an event that's not really ran that much. But I wanted to break the New Zealand record for it. And World Cross Country was hard, but I don't think it was as hard as that. As when I attempted the New Zealand record for the 20K, because I was by myself in my own head running loops around that track, and I would say the last 15 minutes of that attempt of the record was the worst 15 minutes of my life. It was just absolutely hell. So I knew that if I could get through that, I knew that I could get through 10K World Cross Country. And I think just all the experiences and races that I put myself through in 2025, even going to things like, like the New Zealand mountain running champs, which was 11K uphill. I knew that if I can get through that, I could get through anything. And I think that's why I did really well at World Cross Country.
Yeah, and I guess I kind of want to go deeper into the cross country champs. As you guys took off, take me into that first 5K. Like how did that first 5K go down for you?
Certain parts, I think a lot of it is a blur now, but the first 5K, I just remember like telling myself not to panic. And I saw, I got out pretty conservatively. I was only out in like 2:54 for the first K, but I just saw, even the guys on my team, the New Zealand guys, like a lot of them went out really, really quick. And I saw a lot of other guys went out with some of the Africans, and some of those guys finished even some of the Aussie guys who went out to the front, they went back into all like the 30s, which is a great result. But that first 5K, yeah, I remember just like 800 meters in, I just remember like people sort of like slowing down and I was moving forward. So I always felt through the whole race that I was gaining, even though it started to get hard and my legs started to get really, really tired. I still felt like I was gaining. It's funny because I even told like some of the junior guys on our team, it's like, yeah, there'll be points like in the race where you feel like you're going backwards and you're running like 6 minutes a mile, but you're actually probably just maintaining the same pace. And it's quite funny because I look back at it and it's like I actually got faster the longer the race went on. But that first 5K, yeah, that was just about getting in position, and then all I had to do was move up throughout the race.
Yeah, and I guess coming into that second half, I mean, you've already seen all the obstacles. You kind of know where things are starting to shake out to where they're going to be. How'd that final 5K go?
The final 5K was just about surviving. Yeah, honestly, it was. I found my group and I told myself to never settle, and I found myself with a bunch of these South African guys and one of the Tanzanians as well. So it was kind of like an African sandwich. It was just me in the middle, and then there's these Africans, and then we were chasing down some of the Aussie guys. And as we were kind of like moving through, I saw more guys, and I was like, more guys were coming back, and that kind of motivated, because when you're going past people, as you know, in cross country, that gives you lots and lots of confidence. So we were just moving through, even though it was starting to get really, really, really hard. And then I remember coming around into the last lap, and I just remember everything was quiet. I remember I heard lots and lots of all this noise in my head, and throughout the crowd and all that. But this last lap, I think I was just so in the zone, and like everything just felt quiet. It just felt like I could just hear footsteps. And then as I went round into the last like 500 meters, all I just heard was, it just felt like the noise started to pick back up. I found the American guy, and then also the Aussie guy, and I knew the American guy was having a really tough day, so I got onto his shoulder and then kind of like pushed him along, and then we both kind of like started sprinting down into the finish, and there was a kick down. I don't know if you saw a photo on my Instagram, but there's a kick down between the American guy, myself, and the Australian, and all kind of vying for that like 45 to 40 to like top 50 spot. And that was just awesome. And like, I think my last 1K was actually quite fast. And you could see, looking back at like a lot of the other people's Ks, is like some of them even dropped back to like 3:10, and I was about the same. But as I said before, the further the race got, the stronger I felt, and the more I hit at the end. And I think I just really executed the race from a pace point of view quite well. And to be honest, after the race, after I'd finished, I didn't really think, there's something I could have done better.
Yeah, because I was going to say, I mean, it's early in the 2026 season. Are there any big takeaways from at least World Cross going into 2026?
Yeah, I think just the confidence I got from World Cross Country, that like I'm at an all-time high with my strength, and that I know that I can kick with some of the best guys in the world, and that I'm smart enough to kind of understand the situation around me, to not get too excited, and also too nervous. And I think that's really important, just mastering I haven't obviously mastered it, but understanding the mentality going into these big races. And this was my 4th time representing New Zealand, so I know what it's like to put on a New Zealand singlet, and I know what it's like to go through the motions. And the best thing you can do is just not get overly excited. It's just another race on a bigger scale.
Yeah, and I guess before I do like a closeout question, I had some people hit me up some questions for you.
Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah, let's do it.
So someone had asked, when it comes to mountain ultra trail, and obviously with cross country, has the whole super shoe movement changed that? Are they even useful when it comes to that, like trail training or cross country training, or is it better to stick with more of a traditional shoe or spike?
I would say training like carbon plated shoes and like the super shoes, I think it helps with overall recovery. It depends on how fast you're running, because the thing with carbon plated shoes and all those like super shoe technology is that you have to be running at a certain pace mechanically as well to really get the most out of it. Because if you're running, let's say like 8-minute miles ish, the super shoe wouldn't help you too much, because it'd probably just put more strain on. But for me personally, I enjoy training in a super shoe, and I think this day and age, if that's available to you, then yeah, do it. Because I think, first of all, it's also just really fun to train in something that's giving you a lot more return, but also it just enables you to train faster and also use less energy. In terms of the trails, I mean, you see like, some brands bringing out trail carbon plated shoes, and yeah, I mean, if they're there, use them. Yeah, if you feel like, if you can afford it, or if you're a sponsored athlete, yeah, why not? Yeah, use it. Hopefully that answers the question. Use a carbon plated shoe if you feel like you're running, at a decent clip, and you want something a bit fun, but otherwise probably just stick something that's not going to injure you too much.
And I guess the other questions, does specificity matter when in running, or is it better just to train in seasons, mixing it up, or just train all year round for just one event?
Oh, that's a really good one. Yeah, I mean, I think let's say you're a marathon specific person, and you've kind of got all you wanted to do out of the 5 and 10K. Yeah, I mean, I think training specifically for a marathon, I mean, that's quite a heavy one. So I mean, yeah, if you're aiming for a fast time over a marathon, you've probably got to focus on it, and you've probably got to sacrifice a bit of 5K and 10K speed. Nowadays, for like a half marathon, let's say, you still need 5 and 10K speed because it's so fast. So you still need to touch up on those every week. But I mean, I really enjoy personally throughout the whole year being in really good 10K shape, because I know that's probably going to be something that I'm going to run more of. And then I know it's easy. I can go up to half marathon, or I can also sharpen up for a 5K. But yeah, I mean, it really depends on what your focus is. And if it's going for a marathon and longer, you're probably going to need to just focus on that. But I mean, I think here in New Zealand, and it's different to me in college. Here in New Zealand, we have so many variations. So we might have 5K 1 week, 3K 1 week, 10K cross country. It's like, so you kind of have to be fit year round for everything, which I quite like. And sometimes when you're not, it's quite funny just to see what you can run based off, if you're not specifically in that training mode.
Yeah. So in the last question, this one's more on like the nutrition side of things. We've seen bicarb get super popular, no carbs get popular, and then just classic carbs, especially here in the States. How do you look at all of that kind of stuff in training or race prep?
I think nutrition is something that I focused on a lot last year. I've always been like aware of what's good and stuff. I never used bicarb in college. I wish I did. But I think I really wanted to try it after college, just because I felt like I was racing quite a lot in college, and I could never really like specifically try it 1 week. I don't know, but I mean, and also it was just really, really expensive. At NC State, we had Morton bicarb, which some people, we got it for free there. But I do look at bicarb as something that is a staple for me now. It's probably I'd say the most important supplement I would take on race day. I take fly carb. Have you heard of that?
No, I haven't.
It's quite good. I mean, it's from the UK, but I really like the guys behind it, and I formed quite a good relationship with them, and they send me bicarb products and stuff. So I like it because it's also different flavor, so it doesn't taste that bad. And also, what I love to take is the caffeine carb. So it's a combination of caffeine, 120 milligrams, and also it has the bicarb in it. So I think it's like all of it mixed in together, which is great. So it helps me not have to think too much about taking so much at once. So I take that 2 hours before. But the most important thing is also you need to eat at least 25 to half an hour before. You can't have bicarb on an empty stomach, because I've heard some horror stories about bicarb, but for anyone who I suggest taking bicarb is that you need to try it at least once in training first. I pretty much just took it before a race once. I just thought that was I just tried it. I just said, right, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it on a race. And I did it. Nothing bad came of it. But yeah, I'd always say try that before. But yeah, I think it's also really important just to like think about on race day, and even the day before. You don't really want to be using too much energy on race day. So, day before, I just write down a few things about, what I want to eat for tomorrow. And it can be specific to, 10K race in the evening. And also, it's about timing, and it's about what you eat, closer to that time. And, I really struggled last year with evening races because, the whole day I would just think about, I was just overcomplicating it. And what I realized, the things that work for me is just like, moderate protein, 3.5 to 4 hours out from my race or my warm up. That can be like pasta and a bit of chicken, a little bit of like red sauce, let it go down well. Obviously hydration throughout the whole day. And then, in the mornings, I just like to have, just general oatmeal or just some honey on toast. Honey on toast has become pretty much a staple. But I did quite a few days last year, just like, because I train generally in the evenings, where I would just practice a race day. Wake up in the morning at a time I'd normally wake up at, do my shakeout run, what I'd eat before that and after that, and then also throughout the whole day, and then also just leading into my training session. And yeah, I just found like a few general things that work. So just making sure with, having lots of carbohydrates throughout the day, not too much, too close, and also just keeping things very simple. And then, the fun part is, taking my bicarb 2 hours before, and, I feel pretty good on the warm up.
Yeah. And I guess, we can kind of close it out with, I guess, what's next for you? What's the next big things, the big goals coming into this 2026 season?
Yeah, I had my sit down with my coach at the start of January, and it's pretty exciting for 2026. I mean, there's quite a few things that I will try. some new things as well. Obviously, last year I focused a lot on the half marathon and got my 5K time down to 13:40. But yeah, I really want to run a good 10K this year. The thing about that is that there's not too many 10Ks at the moment, especially around here in like New Zealand and Australia. I know there's like the Sound Invite in America, but it's like, could I get over there and at a huge cost? But yeah, so obviously done World Cross, and they got this race Sunday, and then we just have it's a bit of a fun one for us here. We have like a regional just championships like in Wellington, which is where I'm from. And I'm going to try actually I'm going to do the 5K, and then 2 hours later, I'm going to attempt the steeplechase, which I've never ran one before. So I'm going to have a go at a steeplechase over 3K just to complete the hammer mentality, right? And 5K and then steeple. And then I'll do 5K at nationals in March. So that'll be a big one. That was my first senior nationals last year, and I was second over 5K. So hopefully win this year. I'll do another half marathon in April, and then that will be a big one because then that will also be our national champs, but will also qualify me for the world half marathon, which is probably the biggest goal of this year, to go there and to Denmark in September. And then I've got a 10K in Australia on the road, so that'd be a good shot. I ran 28:51, so hopefully I can just improve on that. And then another big one, and something I always got asked in college, and something that I've been asked pretty much every week, is when am I doing a marathon? And so I'll be doing, hopefully, if I can get in, and all going well, I'll be trying to run the Gold Coast Marathon in July, which is generally a fast course in good conditions. So I'll have pretty much a pretty big block of training before then. So I have probably my last race in about May, and then I'll have a big training block before then. And then another big one that I've got second at every year, which I mentioned before, was our national champs in cross country. And it's on the 1st of August. So, I will try and win that one. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, there's kind of a few things I've got lined up. But obviously World Road being a big one, that marathon as well. And then, the national cross country in April and August. So there's kind of 3 big ones I'm aiming for this year. And then who knows from then on. Oh, how good. Well, it must be, like 8:30 there now?
9:02.
Oh, 9 o'clock. Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, sweet. Yeah. Cool, man. Oh, mate, they were great questions. Yeah, I don't think I've ever been that open on a podcast before.
Sweet. Nice.
Yeah, some great questions actually. Yeah, I wasn't just the generic, just like how'd you get into running, but it was like more into like the in depth of it. Well, yeah, I'll listen to it back, but yeah, appreciate it, and always happy to chat and be on the podcast. So just reach out with anything, and I'll follow you on. I think I follow you on Strava as well, so just have a look at what you're doing.
Nice, cool.
Yeah, cool, man. Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you again.
Thank you. See you.
Yep, see ya.
I see the skunk chasing me down. I'm doing the long haul, running all over town. Starting in the north, Tallahassee. Starting Central Florida, Tempe, Ocala, Orlando, Day City. Green Swamp, headed down south. Headed to the Keys, lake to the ocean. Miami, out to the East Coast, Daytona, Jacksonville, Pioneer Trail.
All right, and there we have it for episode 116 of the Florida Trail Runners Podcast. A huge thanks to Toby for taking the time to jump on the chat and share his experience representing New Zealand at the 2026 World Cross Country Championships right here in Florida. Like I said, like an hour ago, cracking that top 50, placing 47th. That's no joke. And it was awesome hearing what that race felt like from the inside. The obstacles, the course, competing with that level of competition, his training to get there, his career over the years, and just how special it is to line up against the best runners in the world. And honestly, it's pretty wild to think that Florida played host to such a historic event in our sport. Cross country has such deep roots, and seeing that history collide with the present, from the legends of the past, Craig Virgin was out there, and athletes like today, like Toby. And that's exactly why I love this side of running so much. So as always, thank you for tuning in, supporting the podcast, and for keeping the running community strong here in Florida. And hey, yeah, with that, I guess until next time, happy trails.
Florida trail runner, all the state trail runner, near and far. Florida trail runner, Florida is the home. Out in the woods, out in the swamps, down by the lake. the skunk case, chasing me down. I'm doing the long haul, running all over town, Starting in the north, Tallahassee. Starting Central Florida, Tampa, Ocala, Orlando, Dade City. Green Swan, headed down south, headed to the Keys, Lake to Ocean, Miami. Out to the East Coast, Daytona, Jacksonville, Pioneer Trail. Florida Trail Runners Podcast.